What movie trailers were the most misleading? Bridge to Terabithia. The trailer shows kids in the woods with make-believe monsters. Coming on the heels of Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, I was like, cool, I really like these kinds of movies. Then it turned into a coming-of-age movie, with the monsters showing up 15 seconds before the credits. The book did this too. I went into Inglourious Basterds thinking it was a Brad Pitt-led semi-comedy from one of my favorite directors. While watching the extremely long, suspenseful opening, I quickly realized I was misled, and it was a great movie. But when you watch a movie expecting it to be one way, you can be disappointed. I really need to give it a rewatch. Christoph Waltz was superb. That's a bingo. I'm old, but if anyone was kicking around in the 80s, you'll have a hard time topping Gremlins. It literally spawned cries for an entirely new film rating. Temple of Doom was released a few months later and that was the last straw. The original trailer didn't flatly deny any creepiness per se, but the narrator's voice was more cheerful and the music used in the trailer was more upbeat. Never mind the fact that Gizmo, the little monster, was one of the cutest little movie creatures in a long time, giving the impression to an incredible amount of moviegoers that it was about cute little monsters in a fun, children's Curious George style of movie. Nevertheless, parents lost their effing minds as kids had nightmares for weeks. Weeks? You mean years? Kangaroo Jack. The entire trailer was based around a hallucination of a kangaroo that a character has. For one scene, man, I was so pissed. The first Suicide Squad. They made it look like a good movie. Did they though? It just got everyone to hate Joker's look and everyone thought he would be a big part of the movie. Godzilla 2014. They definitely portrayed Godzilla as the antagonist. They also made it seem like Bryan Cranston was the main character rather than Kick-Ass. Pacific Rim, Uprising. After such a great first movie, frick that sequel. I didn't saw it but watched the trailers and stuff, and what marked me the most is the shooty design of the Jaegers. It makes sense that they look more polished. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, was a decent movie, but really misleading about Ian Malcolm. Jeff Goldblum. He was a decent part of the trailers and marketing, and ended up being in the movie for less than 5 minutes. I also remember there being a lot more emphasis on the court case for saving the dinosaurs than there actually was. Downsizing. The trailer made it seem like a fun comedy starring Matt Damon, Jason Sudeikis, Neil Patrick Harris, etc. But the movie sucked. It sucked so bad. This movie was the freaking worst. Click. I expected a light-hearted comedy and that is not what I got. I'm going with The Matrix. But follow me here. The trailer made it seem like something pretty similar to Johnny Mnemonic, so I didn't want to see it at all. Some friends and I were going out to dinner and a movie, and they chose The Matrix, so I begrudgingly went along. Without question, it was the greatest holy shoot this is better than I expected moment in my movie-going life. Mother, with Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. The trailer made it look some sort of mystery thriller, instead it was one long intensely bizarre, feverish, chaotic, nightmarish hallucination, depicting very confusing havoc and delusional pandemonium and grotesque violence without any coherent plot or character development. I know that Aronofsky is a master director and Lawrence and Bardem are great actors, and I have an appreciation for bizarre, surreal films, but this movie was just incredibly disappointing to me based on how misleading the trailers were. It was just so bizarre and chaotic and violent and weird and loud and crowded and confusing that it just didn't make any sense whatsoever and was the total opposite of entertaining. Such a bizarre mess of a film. So disappointing because it just didn't make any sense. I guess in Aronofsky's mind Bardem is supposed to represent God and Lawrence is supposed to represent Mother Earth and the film is supposed to be some cosmic metaphor of how God raped the earth or some weird shoot like that. The whole film is just a delusional, crowded, violent acid trip in the worst way. Aronofsky is only considered a master director because we keep enabling his films. Castaway. It made it look like the story of a man who had been marooned returning to his life and how he reintegrates. Then I watched it and it's 45 minutes and I'm thinking, man, this is slow. When is he getting off the island so the movie can start? Burn after Reading for sure. I went in thinking it was going to be a suspenseful spy thriller only to be met with one of the funniest freaking movies I have ever seen. One of the best feelings ever is going into a movie and not expecting it to be funny and it being hilarious. Predators. The frikers blatantly lied in the trailer by having us believe the film would contain dozens of predators. It didn't. Plus, it was a pretty piss poor film. Anyway, I was legit mad about that when there was only one laser target focusing on the main dude when it came to that part in the movie. Colossal trailer had you think this was going to be a silly comedy movie about Anne Hathaway somehow linked up with a kaiju in South Korea. But the actual movie was significantly more dark and uncomfortable, dealing with childhood jealousy and man-child insecurities. It was still a good movie, but I saw it on a date thinking this was going to be a much light-hearted movie, so it did make things a bit awkward. Dude. Spaceballs 2. The Search for More Money. I spent longer than I'd like to admit searching for History of the World Part 2 before I figured it out. Suicide Squad. The Joker was barely in it. Plus the movie was just a flop overall. Before the final trailer, I honestly thought Joker was gonna be the main villain. Still wish it had been true. Weatherman looked like a goofy slapstick funny flick, with Nicolas Cage getting hit in the face with milkshakes and food and god knows what. Turned out to be a dark comedy, with Cage doing that neurotic cynical stream of consciousness thing from more serious films. Clickbait Sith Rey and the Rise of Skywalker trailer. Bicentennial Man. The trailer made it look like a Robin Williams comedy.